Hey there, it's Tara from Raw Food Livin', and in this video I'm going to share with you some of my experiences of traveling as a raw vegan on a budget. These are very amusing but also very much first world problems. So the number one reality of traveling as a raw vegan on a budget, whether you are backpacking to different countries or whether you have moved to a new country like I did, is that you no longer have a blender. Not having a blender is definitely not the end of the world, but if you are like me and you have come to rely on having a blender and drinking smoothies every day, this can seem like an insurmountable challenge. So what do you do if you no longer have a blender while you are traveling? And if you're on a budget, you are not going to splurge on a blender because they can be very expensive. This is what you do. You resort to having cereal bowls, and as delicious as they are, they're just not the same as having a smoothie, but it's something you are just going to have to be okay with because that is all part of the reality of traveling on a budget. But you can get really creative with these smoothie bowls. What I would use is oat milk that is created here in Sweden. I would chop up some bananas, chop up some dates, top it with coconut flakes. I also tried it with blueberries and that was amazing. You can use any berry or any fruit in this and add in all of the textures and flavors that you want. And it's actually a really delicious, high calorie alternative to having smoothies. So even if you're not traveling on a budget, it's a really great option if you're just looking to mix up what you're used to eating instead of having the same smoothies that you always do. Not having a blender also means you can say goodbye to blended salad dressings. And this chokes me up so hard. I know it's a huge first world problem not having a blender to blend your salad dressings, but trust me, if you were used to creating delicious concoctions with all of these flavors, it is not the same. Going back to the avocado mashed with some lime juice. It was good though, and I'm glad that I had that option. So this is what you're going to have to resign yourself to if you no longer have a blender while you're traveling, and that is taking a ripe avocado, mashing it down with some lime juice and maybe some spicy pepper, and then mixing it together with all of your salad ingredients, and it's still delicious, it's just not quite the same. Another option if you don't have a blender is relying on store-bought smoothies or store-bought juices. These can also get expensive, but luckily here in Sweden, for about a liter of fresh squeezed juice, there's this company that makes it here in Sweden. They are delicious and they're actually very reasonably priced. It's about $4 for about a liter, give or take, about 900 milliliters maybe. But this is a great price compared to pretty much everywhere I've traveled purchasing fresh squeezed juice. It's never this cheap and it's never this high quality as well. So if you have that option, store-bought smoothies, whether they're pasteurized or raw, are a great option. And the second reality that you may experience if you are traveling as a raw vegan on a budget is that you don't have a cutting board. I didn't think it would be so hard to find a cutting board. I really thought that you could get a cutting board anywhere, you know, like secondhand stores or the grocery store or, I don't know, I mean, I suppose I've just always gone to secondhand stores to buy a cutting board, but I have had a really hard time finding one here, which is kind of silly, but that's my reality currently. So what do I do when I don't have a cutting board? And cutting fresh fruits and vegetables is a regular occurrence eating a raw vegan diet. So I take container lids. So if you have a Tupperware container and you take the lid, it's usually flat, you can use it for cutting. That's what I do when I'm camping, so I am used to doing this in other situations, and that's what I usually do when I'm traveling anywhere. So what I do is I take out my container lid, I chop up my fresh fruits and vegetables on it, and then I clean it as I would any cutting board. The only thing is that it usually partially ruins the container lid. So you might want to get a real sturdy one. That is the reality. But realistically, again, this is very much a first world problem. You could use a block of wood, you could use many things as a cutting board. I just particularly use the container lids because I have them available, and I chop up my fresh mangoes or my salad ingredients or even the ingredients that I'm going to use in my smoothie bowls or my cereal bowls, and that's just what I use. Now, there definitely could have been more inconveniences of traveling as a raw vegan, but there was one item that I brought with me, actually two items, that I had the foresight to bring with me, and that was two really good chef's knives. So a knife that is good for cutting vegetables, and then another knife that's kind of like a steak knife, good for cutting tomatoes and things that are softer on the inside but have a thick skin. And those are my experiences traveling as a raw vegan. I know these things are kind of silly, but these are small inconveniences that I have noticed and I've gone, oh, I wish I had a blender. I really wish I had a cutting board. Like, these are simple things that it makes me grateful for having those items and being privileged enough to have them regularly. Now I just was able to buy a blender. I still haven't found a cutting board. I don't know where to find one. I will find one eventually. Trust me, you guys. But now I have a blender and I appreciate it so much more because I've gone without some of the basic necessities or basic essentials that I would usually have living a raw food lifestyle. If you guys want to see more of the realities of living in a tiny home as a raw vegan or traveling as a raw vegan, because it's not quite the same as having a fully decked out kitchen with all the appliances, I don't have space for that here. So it is a little bit of a different experience. If you want to see videos like that, give this one a thumbs up and let me know, have you had the same experience with any of these inconveniences or first world problems? Comment down below and let me know if you have lived without a blender and a cutting board and how you have coped. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.